Lesson 1.1 is an introduction to algebra, and the terms that are going to be discussed in this lesson are terms that you'll start hearing throughout all of the lessons this semester. They're very common vocabulary terms that we use to represent different things in algebra. So the first one, a combination of letters, numbers, and operation signs is called an algebraic expression. As long as there's not an equal sign, it is an expression. A letter that can represent various numbers is a variable because it can vary. A letter that can stand for just one number is a constant because it can only be that one thing, therefore it's constant. When we replace a variable with a number, we are substituting for the variable. When we replace all variables in an expression with numbers and carry out the operation, we are evaluating the expression. We don't solve an expression because we only solve equations which have equal signs. So if you're dealing with an expression and you're just substituting in a value, you're only considered to be evaluating. And finally, the results of evaluating an algebraic expression is called the value of the expression. So here is a formula that has a lot of different variables in it, and it has an equal sign, so technically this is an equation. But we can solve the equation once we substitute in the values for the variables. So the P stands for or represents $1,500 or $1,500. Since it's I equals PRT, then we're going to multiply 1,500 times the rate is 6%, which we can represent as a decimal, so 0.06, and then times T in years, which is 3. So we're really just multiplying all three of these together, and you can multiply them in any order that you want. I'm just going to multiply the 1,500 times the 0.06 first. That gets me 0, 0, 30, 6 times 1 is 6, and that'd be 9. And I'll have 2 decimal places. So 2 decimal places is going to give me $90. So 90. And then finally we have to multiply that by 3 years. So that's going to give me 0, 0, 0, and 3 times 9 is 27. 2 decimal places. So it looks like our answer is going to be $270. So we had a formula that had variables in it, and those variables represented different amounts that we substituted in. So I used a lot of that terminology that we just discussed. Let's look at some other sample problems. So now let's evaluate. Let's do number 13. So we have 5p over q. Now when you have a constant, which is 5, multiplied by p, or when you have a constant sitting next to a variable, that means to multiply. And then the fraction bar also means to divide. So we're going to have 5 times p and then divided by q. So the first thing I'm going to do is substitute in. So it'll be 5 times 8 over 10. 5 times 8 is 40 over 10, which is 4. So 5p divided by q equals 4. Now let's do some translating. So we'll just set these up. There's not going to be any solving. We're just going to be translating strictly from the English into math. So variables and either a plus or minus or multiplication or a division sign, or maybe more than one. So 8 more than some number, well, we have 8 and some number, we can just say x, and so we can say 8 plus x or x plus 8. If I were to read this, 8 more than some number, to me that I'm adding 8 to something, so I think of that in terms of x plus 8. But addition, you can have x plus 8 or 8 plus x, and it's the same, but I would probably write x plus 8. 20 less than some number. So we have 20, and we have, again, some number. Actually, let's just pick a different variable. How about, we'll say a. So 20 less than some number, to me that sounds like we've got the number and we're subtracting 20 from that number. So 20 less than some number. B divided by x, well, that one's pretty straightforward. B divided by x, and you need to get used to using division as or a fraction bar as a division sign. 5 less than the product of two numbers. Now that's a tricky one. So I know the 5 less than part means I'm subtracting 5 from something. Product means I'm multiplying two things together of two numbers. So that could be like x times y. That's the product of two numbers, and minus 5 would be 5 less than that. So xy minus 5.